Daily stock market update on the 15th of December, just after US Open. The talk is of the UK markets, FTSE 100 being up nearly 1%. And the reason that's being given, and these reasons are always given after the event. We used to do this on my Bloomberg TV show. After the event, you try and put some rationality to it. Part of the reason given for this is money's moving out of big tech and rotating more broadly. It's not leaving the stock market, it's just going into different parts. And that's a tempting little narrative over there. And I would myself have said, well, there's nothing wrong with owning some of the UK index, except when you look at the data, what you're actually doing is chasing the horse after the horse is very much bolted. It's had an over 20% rise. So what you should really be asking yourself is, how does it perform the year after it's had a 20% rise? Does it continue outperforming US markets? In fact, not only what is its long-term average, but literally what happens the year and 2 years after such a large rise. And I've just written an article about this on my blog, which is at campaignforamillion.com. So have a look at the articles on the blog over there. And it's not necessarily very good. So a little bit like gold, having the UK index as a tracker, given its relatively low historic performance, albeit like gold at all-time highs, fine having 5% in there if you wish, just like 5% in Bitcoin, 5% in gold, 5% in the FTSE 100. But overall, if you think that you're chasing momentum, then try not to do that, because that's hope, and hope is not a strategy. So what else is leading the gains? Banks, miners, precious metal names. Am I bothered about individual sectors? No, I'm bothered more about individual companies. Otherwise, sectors make for great headlines, but they don't necessarily make for a great portfolio. The German index is higher. I'd probably want exposure to that either through a DAX ETF, again, limited in size, probably no more than 5% of the portfolio, and I wouldn't be chasing momentum on it. I'd be asking myself, am I happy to hold this for at least 3 years? Because on a year-to-year basis, unless you've got some crystal ball and trying to time things, the DAX might not be the best thing to try and risk things on for just a 12-month outlook. Okay, but again, 5%, 3 years, not an issue, or a broader European exchange traded fund. Markets have priced in a Bank of England rate cut later this week. I'm not entirely sure that the case is so strong for a rate cut. Neither is the Bank of England, which is why it's been taking so long. On the worrying side, what they're concerned about is inflation is still quite persistent, and the Bank of England's job is to focus principally on inflation, not on growth. That is not their primary goal. It is an inflation-based target, sadly. Why? Well, in Europe, we tend to be more inflation-focused. In America, they tend to be more growth-focused. Why is inflation such a problem in Europe? Well, we have a more traditionalist mindset, and the Weimar Republic and what happened to Germany with interwar year inflation is still very much front of mind for the Americans. Growth. It is an economy which has been built more on an entrepreneurial spirit. So, should we be reducing interest rates? Well, if inflation's your target, probably not least because the stock market is at all-time highs. So there's a wealth effect of some people looking at their pensions, probably feeling that their fund manager has done better than normal. Well, it's not their fund manager. It's the index has done uncharacteristically higher. If you look at historic periods when it's gone over 20%, which are few and rare since the Second World War, there isn't a foundational basis for this. It's not as if the UK and the FTSE 100 companies have suddenly got, well, have they got an NVIDIA? Have they got an AI chip manufacturing company? Have they got a Microsoft, an Apple, an Amazon in the FTSE 100? I'm not talking about those companies investing in the UK. I'm talking about in the FTSE 100. No, it's a mining company, and they're not mining rare earths. So there is a broader problem, and forgive my cynicism, but like I said, as with gold, which year after year didn't do much, until it did. If you want to have 5% because you've got FOMO, that's fine. But don't go all in. That would be taking too much of a risk. Gold is starting to push higher. It's at $433 an ounce, as I've said before. The refiners I was speaking to, the people who are really obsessed with gold, and I'm not a gold expert by any means, still think there's room for upside into the new year. But that in itself is not a reason that people tend to hold gold. It's not for a return. It's usually to dampen the downside effects, almost as an alternative to holding cash, as opposed to an alternative to holding Nvidia. Okay, so try not to play the momentum game with gold unless you fancy yourself as a trader. And if you do, you're in trouble, because most traders, as we know, tend to lose money, especially the amateur ones. There is some ex post facto explanation why gold is doing well. Some people are saying it's because the dollar has fallen slightly, so you need to price gold higher to get the same amount of gold in dollar terms. Some say persistent geopolitical unease. This all looks like trying to make the narrative fit the fact after the event. It could just be because a whole bunch of gold traders felt, well, we've had a bit of a breather. Let's try and push it a bit higher. Silver surged at 3%. It tends to be highly correlated to gold. You're obviously going to get a lot of people now chasing the silver momentum. Again, if you want to have either precious metals, commodities more broadly, and an exchange traded fund around those, I'd suggest you put it into your portfolio at a 5% holding and then see whether the opportunity cost of holding something else longer term would tend to make more sense than crowding out your other investments in order to chase something which has already risen substantially. Not to say it can't rise anymore. And silver actually has more uses industrially, I think, generally than gold. Gold does have some industrial uses. Gold is generally, as I said, an alternative to cash. Silver tends not to be, but silver is currently becoming the new gold. Copper is another precious metal, pseudo-precious metal. Oil prices down just around shy of 1%. That's good for stocks. Doesn't worry us. Bitcoin back above $89,000. It's just faffing around those levels. Look, until it goes above $100,000 or below $50,000, I'm not really interested. Similarly with oil, doesn't go on my radar, doesn't impact anything, doesn't impact my choice of decisions until it moves above $80, in which case I start worrying about stock prices. Okay, so what have we got? Well, some are starting to talk yet again, because it's that time to pull out and dust off those articles on AI-driven sell-off in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. What you've got to remember is this: the S&P 500 is actually not an index of 500 stocks. It's an index of about 7 companies, because it is weighted by the size of companies. In other words, if the bigger the company you are, the bigger the say you have in how much the S&P 500 moves. And the biggest 5 or 7 companies are disproportionately large. Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Nvidia. They're 6. They pretty much take up most of the space of the S&P 500. Throw in Tesla and you've got your 7, maybe even a Netflix in there, and make it an 8. So as an index, that can fall sharply because a lot of those are AI-related stocks or big players in the news, volatile, subject to more narrative moves than some of the other companies. And even if the other companies drop a lot, they make no impact to the index. But as I said earlier, the money's going elsewhere. It's probably short-lived until we get this cycle. So there's a news cycle. I guess they call it a cycle because they regurgitate the same stories. And we're now at the point where they're regurgitating that story. So essentially, the brokers will want to headline this. The journalists want to headline this, because brokers need you to trade so they can make more commissions. Journalists need your eyeballs and you to click on something. So they need you to watch. Oh, and the newsletter vendors will also be pushing this narrative. So who's on the other side? Who's on mine and Warren Buffett's side, which is leave it alone. You got a portfolio, leave it alone. Stop trying to second guess things. There is no one on that side. When I was doing my Bloomberg TV show, my Financial Times column, it'd be a pretty tough column to start off with. Well, actually, most of the time you should just stay quiet and not do anything. Okay, but that is the case. Nvidia is higher in pre-market trade. That sounds exciting. Tesla is among the strongest gainers. If you want to follow the trades, and that's very tempting, then do it at Ladbrokes, do it at Vegas, or do it with small sums of money in those stocks. If you've got an itch, you just absolutely have to scratch. Where are we on the news wires? Well, it's all green, as I say, across Europe. That's for sure. What about the big stock headlines? Well, CNBC's leading with the headline, A big year-end rotation is underway on Wall Street. Investors are moving away from big tech, but they're not leaving the stock market, increasing exposure elsewhere. Don't go chasing headlines. Don't go chasing rainbows. When you get there, you find there isn't a pot of gold. You are far better off being where you already were, as long as you've got quality companies to begin with, as in any event. So where else are we seeing things? Really, I'd rather leave things as they are at the moment. There's more India stories. The India Exchange Traded Fund, and I did this story for clients on the Great Investment Program, the India INDA ETF, the growth projection, even if it goes at a rate of growth the best that ETF has seen over the last 5 to 7 years, generates slightly north of 20%. You might say, well, that's phenomenal. Yeah, but the volatility, the downside is quite significant. So be careful with ETFs. You think they're diversified, especially if they're country specific. But in actual fact, and you project forward the growth, and just look at the trend projection forward on your best case scenario, and you can always make a bull, bear, and a bear case, bull, base, and bear case on those moves. And you often see that when you calculate the base case, actually you're crowding out money from individual stocks, especially if you're willing to take that extra risk in any event. There is more talk of ETFs specializing in downside protection. I will do separate articles on covered call ETFs and ETFs which protect the downside. When I've looked at them previously, they look like they promised the Holy Grail. In other words, that what you're doing is take an NVIDIA, you're exchanging some of the upside in case it goes up significantly. You'll make the first, say, 20%, but beyond that, you'll make less, but in exchange for, if it drops 20%, you won't make more of those losses. Your losses will be capped. Sounds great in theory. I'm not sure it's playing out that way as the exchange trade fund marketers would have you believe, and the journalists would have you believe. So it's one of those where I need to do a more detailed deep dive, and I'll put that on the blog as well. That's at campaignforamillion.com. We've got a bunch of free tools there as well. That's really it in terms of some of the big movers. What else have we got? Well, KLA Corporation's up 3.6, hardly anything to get you excited about. Now, here's an interesting one. ServiceNow, a company which in the past I've very much liked. It's still one that I generally broadly like, but it's not one of those you necessarily want to hold forever. Because it has great years and it has mediocre years. But at the moment, it's dropped off 10%. That's still within the bounds of daily volatility. And it's an important point, that daily volatility is far more significant than people think. You see, in the past, a 10% drop 20 odd years ago would have made headline news. Now it's a meh, or should be a meh, except people will try and scare you off the back of it. So if you already own ServiceNow, it's one of those you'd probably still want to own. You probably don't want to buy more until it drops 25%, if it does that. So it's not dropped enough for you to want to buy more. It's dropped enough to panic the scaredy cats, but you shouldn't be panicked. And if you don't already own it, it's not dropped enough for you to buy into it. Okay. And that's how to break things down into those. You have got, and I don't tend to cover these, you've got the small caps, which, they can be up 25%. They're great for newsletter writers. Usually they've got the word therapeutics in the title, like Caverna Therapeutics, $11, up 25%. Go to Ladbrokes. Go to Vegas. You'll have a lot more fun losing your money than you will with one of these. Generally, what tends to happen with these stocks is one of them does well, absolutely. But the other 3 or 4 you bought tend to mean that overall your returns are mediocre. And if you didn't buy 3 or 4 others and you only had the one, then guess what? You put your money on red and it came up red. Well done, you. Go try it again. See what happens at Vegas if you keep calling red. So it is tempting when you see this, but it is risky, and it's only to be done for fun, just as betting on the horses is only to be done for fun. If you're into one of those things, I'm not. Now, quick request from you all. I do these for free. I'm more than happy to continue doing them for free as long as I get 3,000 views a day, which we've been hitting, and sometimes far more on TikTok. On YouTube, slightly fewer. We need to push it up on YouTube. So if you could like, follow, save the videos counts for a lot on the algorithm on TikTok. If you save them, it pushes out to more people. If it pushes it out to more people, the benefit is you get more of these free videos from me. I get more viewers, which makes me want to do more of these videos, and more people get to see them and get the same value you're getting, which doesn't diminish anything from you. So all you got to do is save. If you wouldn't mind also reposting, saving, forwarding to someone, commenting, please comment. That also counts in the algorithm. The algorithm weighs these various things. Nobody knows what the secret ingredients are of the weighting. For instance, those watching up to this point and the proportion watching it, they also boost the viewership. Okay. If I put some cool music at the bottom of this, it might accidentally get people watching, but I don't want accidental viewers. I want people who are watching with intent, who are interested in investing. So your comments would be most appreciated. So please do all of those things for me. I better go back to the markets. Thank you.